Oikein mukavaa torstai-iltapäivää kaikille ja tervetuloa tähän SAP Finukin ja Westernacherin yhteiseen webinaariin. Mun nimi on Rustolkarhu Aleksi ja toimin Finukilla toiminnanjohtajana ja tässä webinaarin aluksi niin ihan muutamia käytännön asioita tästä webinaarista ja katsotaan pieni kurkkaus tuonne Finukin tapahtumakalenteriin, mitä on luvassa ja sitten mennään itse päivän agendaan. Eli tässä webinaarissa te kaikki olette äänettömällä mutella, mutta osallistukaa toki keskusteluun tuon questions eli kysymykset osion kautta. Laittakaa sinne tulemaan kysymyksiä ja kommentteja. Mielellään englanniksi, meillä on englanninkielinen webinaari tulossa, niin me siinä loppupuolella sitten nostellaan niitä esiin ja vastaillaan tuossa Q&A-sessiossa tuossa lopussa sitten. Te tulette saamaan tästä esitysmateriaalit sekä tallenteen tästä webinaarista jälkikäteen tuon palautekyselyn yhteydessä sähköpostitse. Kurkataan tuonne Finukin tapahtumakalenteriin sitten pikaisesti, että mitä siellä on luvassa. SAP Integration Suite SAP Finlandin kanssa yhteistyössä mielenkiintoinen setti ja herättänyt paljon mielenkiintoa myös ilmoittautua määrien puolesta, eli tervetuloa mukaan sinne, siellä on ilmoittautuminen auki. Sitten meidän kumppani Isletin kanssa konkuuraihetta luvassa, myöskin mielenkiintoinen sessio tässä ihan piakkoin vielä tämän kuun puolella. Ja sitten tuleekin kaksi vähän isompaa happeningia aivan tuoreena ja uutukaisena ensimmäistä kertaa Finukin ja Centria AMK:n yhteistyössä järjestämä Simin SM Skabat on tulossa ja ne pidetään ihan fyysisenä eventtinä livenä Clarion Hotelli Helsingissä 25. huhtikuuta. Sinne otetaan mielellään 3-5 hengen joukkueita mukaan. Mahtuu vielä hyvä määrä porukkaa tulossa skabailemaan. Katsotaan kuka on Suomen mestari. Ja tuossa on päivämäärä myös kevätseminaarille, Finukin kevätseminaarille eli Race 2027 on tulossa sitten pörssitalolla. Mielenkiintoinen setti, joka julkaistaan pian ja avataan sitten tuo ilmoittautuminen myös, mutta tuosta jo päivämäärää kalenteriin valitettavasti menee vähän päällekkäin SAPin Barcelonan kuvioiden kanssa, mutta sopusia antaa. Päivän aihe on SAP Business Network for Logistics ja tästä meillä on Westernacherilta ammattilaiset puhumassa. Aki ja Katarina saavat esitellä itsensä vielä tässä paremmin, mutta tässä vaiheessa niin annan virtuaalilavan Akille ja Aki jatkaa päivän aiheesta. Ole hyvä, Aki.
Kiitos vaan, Aleksi. Mä katson, että mun jako lähtee hyvin käyntiin. Joo, eiköhän. Eli mukavaa päivää myös mun puolesta. Mä oon Aki Pousar ja mä vedän Westernacherin toimintoa Suomessa ja me katsotaan tänään tosiaan Business Network for Logistics -toimintoja tässä Finukin tietoiskussa. Ja luonnollisesti, jos haluatte puhua asiasta enemmän tilaisuuden jälkeen, niin olkaa ihmeessä heti yhteydessä. Tässä on meidän agenda tänään, lyhyt intro ensin tuttuun tapaan ja sitten itse asiaan. Meidän asiantuntijana tänään on tosiaan Katarina meidän Saksan toimistosta, kertoo meille yleisesti Business Network for Logistics -toiminnot ja sitten syvennytään erityisesti Freight Collaboration ja Global Track and Trace -toimintoihin, tutustutaan muutamaan implementointikokemukseen näillä alueilla. Ja kuten jo Aleksi tuossa mainosti, niin ja aina näissä webinaareissa niin lopussa on aikaa kysymyksille ja vastauksille, postaakaa aktiivisesti chattiin, niin otetaan sitten heti käsittelyyn. Ennen kuin mennään itse aiheeseen, niin kertaus vielä Westernacherista. Me ollaan globaali toimija 20 maassa, kotipaikka Heidelbergissä Saksassa, 850 konsulttia, 100 miljoonaa oltu markkinoilla 60-luvun lopusta ja täysfokus SAPissa ja SAPin tuotteissa 90-luvulta. Hiilineutraali vuodesta 2021, ollaan hyvin ylpeitä siitä. Me tunnetaan parhaiten toimitusketjun hallinnan ratkaisusta, planningia tehdään SAPin IPP:llä, Service Budget Planningilla, Executionia, EVM:llä, TM:llä, Yaadilla ja lisäksi tietysti Intelligent Spend ja Business Networks -ratkaisut, joita tänään tosiaan käsitellään. Kuten Aleksi, niin lyhyt muistutus myös meidän muusta tapahtumatarjonnasta. Me ollaan SAPin käyttäjäpäivillä huhtikuussa Lontoossa kertomassa Sustainability Analyticsista, Oslossa Signavion tuesta asiakaskokemusta vauhdittamaan. Ja jos nyt satutte olemaan näiden käyttäjäryhmien jäsenenä, teillä on siellä toimintoja, niin tervetuloa. Ja jos ette, niin ei mitään, ja asia on agendalla, niin olkaa muuhun yhteydessä, järjestetään se oma sessio aiheesta. Jos satutte olemaan tuolla Stuttgartissa logistiikkamessuilla huhtikuussa, niin tervetuloa siellä vierailemaan meidän standille. Siellä on esittelyssä viimeisimmät innovaatiot varaston ja kuljetusten hallinnasta, erityisesti yard managementista. Ja vielä ennen kuin mennään aiheeseen, niin tiedän, että kun linjoilla on paljon hyviä konsulttikandidaatteja, jos on ajatuksissa kansainväliset projektit viimeisimmillä SAPin teknologioilla, niin alan parhaiden osaajien kanssa, niin olkaa ihmeessä yhteydessä. Me haetaan tekijöitä näille kaikille osa-alueille. Okay, that's it for the intro. Katarina, I hope you're getting ready. I think we are all excited to learn about the business networks and power of connected logistics. Please, stage is yours.
Good. Hello, everybody. Should be seeing this presentation, right? Yeah. Okay. Good. So we live in a turbulent era full of disruptions and unexpected events. We cannot control them, stop them, nor prevent them from happening. But what we can do is to be ready. Are you interested in knowing what tools can help you and your organization to become more resilient, transparent, and sustainable? I'm thrilled today to share with you some tips and hints how to connect people, processes, and the system across multiple enterprises, and to share with you the first-hand experience about how we at Westernacher help companies to achieve higher automation and gain visibility in their businesses. So we have customers approaching us with different types of challenges and struggles. Some of them lack visibility of the transports, not knowing where their containers are or when they could expect arrival of the incoming goods or materials. Some of them are pushed by their customers to have understanding what is happening with their orders. This is the impact of the Amazon effect, which spreads now not only between the B2C business, but also within the B2B. We have clients that face peaks of in-yard operation, which results in a longer waiting times at their premises, making their carriers unhappy, as well as unbalanced utilization of warehouse staff. Another struggle is with the low process automation. Too much time is spent on invoice verification. Hours and hours spent by transportation planners on the calls and emails, making arrangements with the carriers and LSPs. Nowadays, supply chain is very fragmented. You do not receive the goods from point A to point B on a single track, right? It is rather multi-leg transportation where the goods are transported over the seas, either via ocean or air, then being reloaded to a truck or eventually the rail car to be delivered to its final destination over the road. There are companies that have many systems in place which do not communicate and interact to each other. So the information might differ depending on where you are looking at, instead of having a control tower, which would be crunching lots of data across the multiple systems. And most of our clients understand the needs for the improvement, and moreover, they expect to have the immediate value and short implementation time. Not to wait 2-3 years, but to see tangible results swiftly, maybe to start smaller and then continuously to scale up. I believe you find your businesses facing similar needs and pain points as well. So the question is how to address these challenges. I believe that there are three major elements that help to anticipate and mitigate risks. It is collaboration, automation, and technology. Exchange real-time data with all who is involved in the entire process. Be on the same page with everyone who puts hands on the package. Use a platform serving as a single version of the truth. Build a relationship with your third-party logistics for capacity and alternative shipping solutions. Automation is a quite broad concept that includes transportation planning, freight booking, freight settlement, and so on. But generally, when speaking about the automation helps you to save time, efforts, and ultimately the cost, of course. You can reduce mistakes and eliminate errors by implementing automated solutions. And with automation, you would gain time to focus on what really matters, on your primary business objectives. There's simply not enough space to support adding more trains and trucks. And even if there was, the throughput of existing infrastructure will not increase. And more roads and rails cannot be built fast enough to meet transportation demand. And this is why today we must address these issues with digital solutions. Start using the control towers that give you an overview about what is happening. Digitalize your communication with your business partner. Leverage blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning. And one of the great tools addressing the needs of collaboration, automation, and digitalization is Business Network for Logistics. So what is this Business Network for Logistics? Business Network for Logistics is a part of the SAP Business Network, which, to put it simply, is a network of networks. It consists of the business network of supply chain, of business network of procurement, business network of the asset management, and of course, business network for logistics. And all these networks can be connected into one ecosystem. Business Network for Logistics has 4 modules: freight collaboration, global track and trace, material traceability, and intelligent insights. Freight collaboration connects business partners across the entire life cycle, thus drives efficiency and resilience with streamlined collaboration. The carriers and shippers have a central place to transact in a standardized, digitalized way among each other. With the ability to access information anytime, anywhere, the collaboration between shipper and carriers leads to the improved transparency, better decision-making, greater efficiency, disruption mitigation, and ultimately higher customer satisfaction. GTT, or Global Track and Trace, as its name indicates already, gives you the tracking and tracing insights for goods in transit and order fulfillment. So instead of not knowing what is happening with your cargoes or trucks, you would gain full transportation visibility. And thanks to the alerts, you can manage by exception, which ultimately means better operational efficiency and, as we mentioned, higher customer satisfaction. The third module is about the material traceability, and it's all about the integrity and traceability. It leverages the blockchain technology and builds the trust through the product genealogy and the transparency. With this tool, you can evaluate how all the product batches and events relate to each other. You could easily identify the provenance of each component, track it back to its source, alert the partners of the product issues, hence to streamline and speed up the overall product recalls. Intelligent Insights is an analytical add-on to the freight collaboration or the global track and trace, turning transactional insights into the data intelligence. Thanks to this global monitoring of real-time data fed from freight collaboration or the global track and trace helps you to identify the bottlenecks, analyze the shipments across the carriers and geographies, so you can take necessary actions. Intelligent Insights offers you to gain top-down analytics, so you can easily detect the exception, performance of your carriers, or business processes and deviations. So now let's have a glance on how freight collaboration is working. So as mentioned already, freight collaboration streamlines the collaboration and communication among all the parties which are involved in the logistics process. This tool supports you through entire life cycle, from planning via contracting and until the settlement of the freight cost. It not only streamlines the communication of what shall be transported, but also supports digital exchange of the documents. Freight collaboration is integrated out of box with SAP Transportation Management and S/4HANA, and can seamlessly interact with any of your carriers or LSPs based on the available APIs or web UI. So what benefits would you achieve, you might ask? Collaboration between the shippers and the carriers using the cloud-based solution can greatly improve transportation and logistics operation. Both shippers and the carriers can access the shared platform to exchange the information and to coordinate the shipments in the real time. And this leads to the more efficient transportation planning and execution. This reduces the lead times and ultimately also lower the costs. The use of this cloud-based solution allows integration of the various system applications, making the process of coordination between the shippers and carriers seamless and streamlined. And all this results in a more efficient and agile supply chain, allowing for quick responses to changing demands and the market condition. So you might ask, what actually can I do with this freight collaboration now that I know what benefits it can bring to me? Transportation planners are spending enormous time today and efforts to ensure that the carriers have the right capacity at the right price on extremely short notice. You can reduce the phone calls, get rid of the emails, and digitalize the overall communication using the freight collaboration module. When a carrier informs you at the very last moment that they cannot execute the freight, send them the pre-planned shipment to one or multiple carriers via tendering option and find the alternative executor of your freight. Don't let your drivers waste their productive time sitting and waiting at loading or unloading location. Leverage dock appointment scheduling functionality. Schedule and book a time slot and plan properly the time spent at the pickup or delivery sites. Being a shipper, imagine wouldn't it be great to understand at what time the trucks will come for loading or unloading so you can better optimize the resources in the warehouse and manage the incoming flow? Automate wherever you can. Do not spend too much time on the freight settlement. Focus on the problematic elements. Allow your carriers to do the self-bidding. Let them create the invoice by simple click on the cloud platform. In case of an unexpected situation, let the carriers to raise the dispute and then manage it together digitally. Both parties having instant updates and the same picture all the time. Utilizing freight collaboration would streamline the flow of the information between different parties of the supply chain, from ordering to delivery, enabling the real-time tracking and monitoring. And this information and updates are instantly exchanged in the business network and subsequently passed also to the transportation management. So this is in a nutshell how the freight collaboration is working on what this can offer to you. Let's have a look also on the global track and trace. Having a global track and trace in place, you have an instant view of what is happening with your load prior it reaches your location or after it departs from your site. You might see milestones and events reported across different modes of geographies, either directly from the carriers or leveraging networks of the visibility providers that can also, on top of that, share the exact geoposition and estimated time of arrival. Global track and trace allows you to visualize the route on the map And moreover, it allows you to analyze the impact and inform stakeholders via notification. Thanks to the automated alerts, you can manage by exception and take the respective action. For example, let's imagine the inbound shipment. There is an alert of a possible delay, which would have impact on your manufacturing plan. Yeah? So based on the calculated estimated time to arrival, which you get from your carrier or from your visibility provider, you can decide what to do. Am I going to wait, or am I going ready to adjust the production because the waiting time is too long? Or maybe it's too long and it's too expensive to change the production plan. So maybe I will arrange the missing components from another alternative supplier that is closer, near shore, let's say. Or in case of the outbound shipment or the outbound transportation that has the multiple legs. Maybe the main leg is already delayed. So you would, thanks to the GTT, you would have the indication that this is already delayed. So what you can do is that you can update subsequently the legs, which are afterwards, to replan them, let's say on another mode of transport. So instead of the cargo ship, that you will use the air freight if needed. So these are the examples which you can do based on the analysis and the information that you get from the GTT. And thanks to all of this, you can significantly improve your operational efficiency. You can mitigate the risks and increase the customer satisfaction. I know it is always better to see once than hearing 10 times. So let me show you a brief video about how GTT might look for you. So let's imagine that a customer is calling to you and asking what is happening with my order. So if you go to the GTT, you will see the list of the orders. And if you know directly the number of the order, you can just put it on the top in the filtering and to display the particular order. Or you might have the overview about what is delayed, what is the on-time and in full delivery status, and you have all this information at the very first glance. So let's imagine that we have selected one order. Just let me go a little bit slower. So here, basically, we see that the order is already being executed, that there is already delay, which will have impact of almost 16% of the overall order. And I need to go into the details in order to understand what is happening and in which stage it is being delayed. Yeah? So here on the top, we see the information about the cost impact. So directly, I see that the original order was for more than 500 euro, but one part of the order is delayed. So remaining less than 100 euro is impacted by this. So here you see that the order, original order, was split into the 3 deliveries. And these 3 deliveries were planned on the 2 different shipments. Okay. 2 deliveries, which were on 1 shipment, on the green one, they have been successfully delivered. However, this is the green one. However, the 1 part and 1 delivery, which was planned on another shipment, is delayed. So those parts, sorry. So here we can see on the header that the shipment is already being executed and it's delayed, and the previous subsequent steps that were already successfully executed. However, so it left from our premise, so it's out there and on the market. However, it didn't yet reach the final destination. Okay, so it's in very graphical, nice way. You can also see what was the order quantity and what is fulfillment rate. Of course, since it was not delivered, then the fulfillment rate is 0. So this is the view for those parts of the orders which already have been delivered. So here you see that everything is green, everything was completed, there is nothing indicated that it would be delayed. So what you can do is to focus on the red items, because these are the ones which require your attention, right? So you click on that one, you deep dive, and you can have a look on what is actually happening with the shipment as such. Here, you have the information, what was the original plan, so when the truck was supposed to arrive at the final destination. And you also see the indication what is estimated time of the arrival map. So we see that there is a delay of more than 4 hours. Based on that one, we can, of course, take an action, like inform the customer, sorry that there is going to be 4-hour delays, please expect the goods to be delivered a little bit later. You can also see on the map where exactly is the shipment at this moment, and you can track the actual movement of the train on the map. But moreover, you have all the information in a graphical way at one glance with few clicks at your hand. So all the information which you need to have, you have visualized. And based on this, you can take an action, as we said, right? You can inform the customer, you can contact the carrier, you can do whatever you want and to do the smart things to do. Okay, here we go, the replay of the video, sorry for that. Good. So that was the feeling about how the GTT or the global track and trace might look like. So you might say, okay, I kind of like it. So what can I do in order to have it implemented? When it comes to the implementation, Westernacher can offer time-to-value solutions, which are basically packages with a predefined scope, and that can be implemented within very short time, within 4 to 8 weeks, depending on your current landscape. If you use, for example, SAP Advanced Transportation Management, we can integrate it to the Freight Collaboration module or to the Global Track and Trace module, either alone or without the visibility provider. In that case, you would have your freight orders or freight bookings managed via Business Network for logistics, and you would receive the tracking updates. Or are you still on the ECC? Then we can offer the ERP integration package to integrate your ECC with the GTT. Or do you prefer to use SAP TM as a main tool even for execution updates? Well, then we can help you to integrate directly with the visibility providers. And if the transportation visibility is not enough and you're seeking more advanced visibility, then we can support you with the IBP integration package on top of it. Because we ultimately believe in end-to-end supply chain visibility ensured via supply chain control tower. Supply chain control tower represents different levels of the visibility. The first 2 stages are already getting kind of common and are about the transparency and proactive alerting, where we can perform diagnostics to understand what and why happened, and having proactive alerts about what might happen or what is about to happen. But going one step further, it is about having tools in place that are supporting us to take decisions and effectively suggesting recommendations, not only based on the historical data, but also taking into the consideration the real-time conditions and the constraints. And the last stage is prescriptive approach, where the decisions are being automated by the system to optimize the supply chain in real time. So you might be asking, like, what does that mean actually? So let's say, as we had before, example for the outbound process. So when we have a multi-leg transportation and that there would be the indication that one leg is already delayed, what the system can do, so instead of just alerting you that, hey, there is a delay and you need to replan it, that the system would automatically replan the certain legs based on the provided estimated time of arrival from the previous day. So you would not need to touch the system, everything will be done automatically. So that's the stage which we call pseudo-autonomous, and that's the stage, the ultimate way that we would like to go. In addition to this approach, Westernacher has various assets which can speed up the innovation. To name the few, we have Westernacher established integration and connectivity to a wide range of the network partners, whether these are visibility providers like Project 44, Shipeo, FourKites, or whether these are the port authorities or the brokerage or the booking platforms like Descartes, for example, Intra or Uber Freight. We have many pre-built integration add-ons that can connect you with your business partners. We built Westernacher Transportation Control Tower, which is an analytical application consolidating real-time insights from transportation, warehouse, and the finance into one holistic view, thus allowing you to shift from micromanagement to exception handling. Our control tower allows you to concentrate on the most important items and, when needed, to drill down to analyze the root cause. Another asset which I can mention is Tina. Tina is our transportation invoicing assistant, which is a great tool to improve invoice verification tremendously. Tina can receive consolidated invoices from your carriers and compare it with the transportation management freight charges and do the automated corrections before creating the settlement documents and transferring the corrected charges to the FI system. So little or almost no manual effort is needed for the invoice verification. Last mile delivery is still one of the most challenging parts of the transportation process. Our mobile application can guide drivers through the entire execution process and make their life easier. Drivers can get full transparency about what are the orders, what are the customer details. They can report the milestones, they can report the progress, they can take pictures in order to confirm that they delivered the goods, or in case there is a damage of the goods, they can take the picture of the damaged goods as a proof that it happened and how it looked. They can also scan a barcode with the mobile application, or they can do the proof of delivery fully in the electronic way. And also the diversions requests are handled easily. So the transportation planner just sends the new pickup or delivery address from the SAP Transportation Management System. Driver instantly confirms it, and it is navigated to the new location. So these are the few of the assets which we can offer in order to help you with the innovation. However, we have way more. So this was just an example. Anyhow, let's be a little bit more tangible. So what I'd like to do now is to share with you two stories where we implemented Business Network for logistics. First one is, it started with the Freight Collaboration implementation. So our client, Aldara, which is a prominent multinational leader in the agribusiness, operating in more than 20 countries in the Middle East and Asia, they struggled with the transparency of their supply chain networks due to the siloed operation. The lack of harmonization and automation caused them excessive manual works, tasks, delays, and the errors. So what we have done, so we analyzed the processes. We understood that the freight collaboration of the Business Network for logistics would be an answer to their struggles. So we proposed the solution, which automates the process of order management for the road and ocean freight and offers better insights into the transportation, easing the daily operations. So we built a robust landscape, which started with their non-SAP ERP system, because we can also connect it to the non-SAP systems, which was integrated then to the SAP Transportation Management System, and via Business Network for Logistics, it was connected with the external parties. Namely, ocean carriers were connected via Descartes, visibility provider. The additional top 13 carriers, the land carriers, were connected directly with via Business Network for Logistics. And we also built the direct integration of one of the big third-party providers, which is called Agility. So we connected all these pieces into the one big landscape. Then the planning and the order management is taking place in the SAP TM, while the Business Network for Logistics is kind of a centerpiece, accumulating all the insights from various sources and helping multiple parties with the communication, order confirmation, event reporting, and freight settlement, which all of these are happening in the freight collaboration. And the updates from Business Network for Logistics are sent back to the transportation management system. So what is the outcome? As an outcome, Aldara has now a single logistics platform that is serving as a single version of the truth, enabling all the parties involved to have a unified view of the freight status, which helps preventing delays, also miscommunication, because everybody is looking at the same picture at the same time, and also, of course, reducing the errors. Aldara managed to foster the tighter partnerships with their carriers and LSPs. They gained visibility about what is happening with their trucks and containers when being transported. And also they eliminated manual tasks and errors. To quote their global IT director, he said, Aldara achieved automation and visibility, which made life much easier and business more efficient. So shortly after the implementation, Aldara managed to decrease transaction costs by 25%. They increased efficiency by 70% due to electronic invoice verification and saved 1 working day per week due to automatic freight order handling. And that's pretty impressive, isn't it? Another example which I'd like to share with you is our latest implementation of the visibility solution. This project went live in last November, so a few months ago, and it was for a global provider of agricultural science and biotech products in seeds and crop production. What our client wanted was to have the real-time visibility into the ocean and the road freight, and to be notified upfront about the delays and to understand what updated time of arrival might be. I would say that it was a very speedy and smooth project, which took us only 4 months. So what we did was implementation of the global track and trace solution of the Business Network for Logistics to the ECC for their trucks and containers tracking, together with the visibility provider Project 44. So we connected 5 road carriers that joined the Business Network for Logistics, and 6 carriers for the ocean transportation have been onboarded as well. So overall 11 carriers were integrated in this solution. What is interesting about this project or this implementation is that we introduce our custom logic for the, we call it pseudo shipments. What is it? So our client was not using the shipments. They were using only the deliveries, but we had to do the tracking based on the shipment. So what we did is that we built a special logic that allows automatic creation of pseudo shipments, which are then sent to the GDT and used for the tracking via visibility providers. So as an outcome, our client gained port-to-port visibility for intercompany movements from plant to plant within EMEA and APAC region. And based on the container ID, they have now the pretty good understanding where their goods are in any moment. Within the same platform, they can also track their full truck loads in the Europe from door to door based on the license plates of the trucks. And thanks to the notification, they are able to focus on the problematic loads or on those loads which require their attention. And this is making their decision way faster than before. So this is what was implemented so far for this client. However, this is not when we are stopping. As we speak, we are finalizing further rollouts for the purchase order and inbound shipments integration for the ocean and freight. And until end of this year, we have further plans and further integrations for this plan with additional visibility providers. We want to track not only the full truck loads, but also less than truck loads transports. We will also track the air freight. We will do the integration to the sales orders, as well as IoT container sensor tracking. So this is what is ahead of us for this particular client, and we are very excited for that. Anyhow, I mean, these were just 2 examples what we have implemented lately. We have 8 ongoing projects right now as we speak. We have more than 10 prospects in the pipeline, and you can be also one of them. So as mentioned before, we have time to ready solutions that can be implemented in a very short time. Or if you are just thinking and considering that, yeah, we can maybe try something, but you are not sure and not certain, what we can do for you is that we can support you with the proof of concept in order to ensure your expectation will be addressed and met. We can start small with a simple pilot and subsequently to scale it up. And in case you would like to hear from other companies which already went on this journey with us, we can arrange a reference calls with them. So you can exchange the experience and impressions. So no matter which tool or module of the business network for logistics you decide to choose and which direction you will go, I encourage you, collaborate, automate, be ready to expect the unexpected. We at Westernacher are happy to help. Thank you.
I think we can open the stage for questions. Alexi, can you see any postings?
Yes, there are actually a couple of questions and actually more incoming.
Wonderful.
So we can start to dive in right into those. But anyways, Katarina, thank you very much for the presentation. Very interesting case studies also. The first question is, what would be the break-even point for an LSP to decide whether to use the web UI or EDI or API integration? And what factors should be considered in making that decisions? Very specific question, but long. But
yeah, it's a nice question, and yeah, we hear the similar concerns or the questions so when we have a discussion with our clients. Well, as usual, the both option has a pros and cons, right? So it really depends on various factors. So the benefit of connecting via web UI is that it's basically plug and play, let's say. So you don't need to do much as a career. You just follow instructions which are given to you as during the onboarding process. You attend a short webinar in order to understand how the tool is operating, and you are good to go. So it is really fast and seamless integration. However, further on, it requires some manual interactions. And it means that the carrier needs to go to the web platform and manually report the events or to upload the proof of deliveries and stuff like that, which today maybe there are not so many people who prefer to do things manually, right? So on the other hand, if you have the EDI or API integration, so all these activities which normally you would do manually can be automated, so no manual action would be needed. However, to get there, it requires a certain technology savviness on the carrier side, especially on the carrier side. And certain efforts are also needed in the initial stage because those integration needs to be built in order to map the fields and to match the data between the systems, and also time to time some adjustments eventually and maintenance might be needed throughout it. So the decision which type of integration, should it be direct, should it be via visibility providers, or should it be via web UI, it really requires the discussion and alignment between carriers and the shippers. It depends on their readiness, openness, and capability. So that's how I would answer that one.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Then there is a question, and actually another add-on question to that. So how does TM communicate with the global track and trace, and what is the role of service providers in overall process?
Yeah, there are native APIs which are provided by the SAP. I mean, it's a little bit more technical in this part. So there are the native APIs which can be used and which ensure this communication between the TM, transportation management, and GDT. And the role of the service provider is that actually by the service provider we mean the visibility providers, it means that these are actually the providers which are connected to the end carriers. Yeah? So imagine you have the transportation management, you have the GDT, and you have the visibility providers, and then you have a lot of carriers. Okay, and the visibility provider is getting insights from the carriers, and they are sending it to the GDT. And they have the visibility providers have the more capabilities and more things, like they are able to estimate the expected time of arrival, because they are using also the machine learning and the special logics when they are considering multiple inputs like the weather conditions, historical data, the conjunctions at the ports, and all of these kind of things. And based on all this information, they calculate the ETAs and they provide it to the GDT. So that's the role of the visibility providers in overall picture. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you. And there's an add-on question also. And how does the service providers interact with TM or GTT? What is the sequence of communication?
The sequence of the communication is basically bidirectional, right? Because from the team or via GDT, we are sending the shipments or the freight orders or freight bookings to the visibility providers, and the service providers are getting the information from the carriers, and as soon as they have updates, it can be, I don't know, for the road, it can be every 5 minutes, so they are able to send the updates about the exact position, or for the containers, it can be every few hours. So the interaction is very frequent, and it's both directions. So the data are really flowing real time among the systems.
Great, thank you. And another question. On the past and current projects, how many carriers typically are there onboarded? What sort of resources did or does it require as time and people?
That can really differ based on the business needs. But what we usually do at the beginning, we try to start smaller, and then we're scaling up. So as was mentioned in the examples which I was sharing before, so we started, for example, in the previous example with 13 carriers only, but there are way more to come. Yeah? Or another project, we started with 5 carriers, but we have more than 300 to go. Yeah? And the overall onboarding process, it's very dependent on the carrier's responsiveness. Yeah? Because if the carriers are responsive, you can onboard within a few hours. But sometimes it takes even weeks to find out to who exactly in the transportation company or the carrier company to send the invitation to log in. Yeah? So that was one of the things which we also struggled. So it really depends on how tightly the people are cooperating to each other, how responsive they are. And sometimes it's like the shipper is coming saying like, yeah, okay, I want to have a visibility, but the carriers might be a little bit reluctant. You know? So they need to have the little bit of explanation, like why we are doing this, what benefits it might bring to them, because at the end of the day, it's not like, hey, there is somebody who is going to monitor me, right? There are benefits also for the carriers. And to be honest, nowadays, the carriers which are already onboarded on the visibility providers or on the business network for logistics, they are gaining the competitive advantage, because more and more shippers and the companies want to be connected. And in case I see the carrier is already connected to the business network, for me as a new shipper, it's few clicks in the system. So I will rather go with this one than with another one. Yeah. And there was another part of the question, how much resources does it require, if I remember well. The onboarding as such doesn't require too many efforts. I mean, too many resources, and definitely not from a shipper side. So the process of the onboarding is handled either via SAP or via visibility provider. So you as a client or you as a company don't really have much efforts in that one. You need to step in only in the moment when the carriers are not reacting, not responding to the emails, or when they're being contacted. So that's the only effort when you as a shipper might step in. So not much efforts on that side.
Okay, thank you for the answer. The next question is related on freight collaboration. I think is strategic freight procurement, such as freight agreements and rates or volumes negotiation, supported in FC as freight collaboration, I assume?
Yeah, right. Let me put it this way. As of today, it is not. So currently the freight collaboration is focused on the spot buy, on the spot market. So trying to handle really this last minute changes. However, based on the SAP roadmap, this is planned, if I'm not mistaken, for 2024. So next year it should be already part also of the freight collaboration. So right now this is handled in Ariba, but as of next year it should be also integrated with the Business Network for Logistics. And just one side note, the roadmap for the Business Network for Logistics is one of the fastest evolving roadmap which I see in the SAP product. So there are really, like, every month there are new releases, new changes, new features coming. So yeah, that one is planned for next year, but who knows, maybe it will be delivered already at the end of this year.
Okay, great to hear. Next question is, for current projects, do you use API out of the box, or were there any enhancements of it? Yes
and yes. So we do use the given APIs which are there, but for some of the customers or some of the clients, we do also the enhancement and adjustments based on the needs. So it's both cases.
Great. There's next question is, how does global track and trace enable supplier collaborations? And can supplier change or edit transport order content and feed us back with the updated information, such as quantities, carriers, time windows, etc.?
Okay, there is in GTT a special application or special tile for the supplier managed transportation, where the suppliers can see their purchase order and they can add the shipment details for the tracking and sharing this with the shipper. Furthermore, the SAP, again based on the roadmap, the latest one, it shall be available at, I think, end of this year, to provide the suppliers access to the execution tracking of the inbound shipments, where also the inbound ASN in process can be monitored and status updates provided. But if the supplier can change the content of the PO, I don't think this is possible today.
Great. Then there is one question still, and we have time. If there are more questions, just use the questions section to answer it, and we will have it here on the live feed. So it's question related to the case studies that you presented. Organizations that have integrated the business network for logistics in their operations, logistic operations, what should be the average project timeline, and what were the challenges and critical points for onboarding carriers?
That one is a little bit hard to answer, because the implementation time strongly depends on the scope. Yeah, because it's different whether you have, let's say, only one region, or let's say only Europe with simple road transportation, or you're implementing the global transportation with the different types of the modes of transport, including the air, rail, ocean, and stuff like that. So the more complexity you're bringing into the scope, the implementation time, of course, takes longer time from that perspective. So that one is really difficult to answer. However, as I was mentioning before, we do have some time to values packages which have the predefined scope and the predefined content. So those can be implemented very fast. So this is really like a few weeks, and you can have certain visibility up and running in few weeks. When it comes to the learnings, I think that was the one part of the question. So what I would highlight maybe the mostly is that try to bring all the parties and try to make them work together very closely. So to have the regular meetings, to have regular status updates, because at the end of the day, it's about shipper, carriers, visibility providers. So there are multiple parties, and everybody needs to be updated, and everybody needs to know what is happening at this particular stage, right? So that is one of the things which needs to be ensured. So that's why a strong project management should be in place. And when it comes to the carriers, as I was mentioning, it depends. You might have the carriers which are very responsive and everything can be very fast. But sometimes when you have the bigger organizations, it is kind of difficult to find out to whom you send the invitation, because this onboarding process, imagine it's like a Facebook, for example, right? So you want to connect with somebody, so you send them the invitation and somebody needs to click, yes, I agree. But to whom you are sending this invitation, sometimes in these bigger companies, which are LSPs or the carriers, might take some time. So these are like two small tangible learnings which I would share.
Thank you for the answer, and thank you for the great questions. I think we answered them all, and we are very nicely on time. And I would like to say big thanks to Katarina and Aki for presenting, and everybody just feel free to contact them if you want to know more about the topic. And Aki and Katarina, would you like to say something before the end of the webinar?
Well, thanks also from my side. Being online, happy to continue discussions with you. Thanks, Katarina, for the show.
Thank you I'm happy that I was here and that I could share the examples, and just feel free to reach out to us in case you have any questions. We'll be happy to support.
Looking forward to.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Katarina and Aki, and thank you for everybody who was on the line with us today. And you will get the recording and also the presenting materials on the feedback message, so stay tuned, and hope to see you on upcoming FINUC events also. I wish you everybody a very nice Thursday evening.